All right, hello. Welcome to this reading about Inanna's descent. And we're tracing the contours of the myth and the symbolism in the story as they are relevant to your own personal journey. So we'll just go ahead and get started with the first question. What triggered Inanna's descent for you? So what was it that slingshot, what catalyzed you onto this journey? So what was it that set this off for you? What was the energy around your propulsion towards the underworld? Okay, we have the Knight of Pentacles. And on the bottom of the deck is the Hermit. So it feels like somewhere along the way, and okay, this is even feeling soul level. So maybe we'll pull an additional card for like physical life circumstances, but what's coming through really, really strongly here for the Knight of Pentacles is the part of your soul's intention and commitment before incarnation to embody as much of your light and purpose and power as was humanly possible for you during this particular life. Of course, with the Knight of Pentacles, we have the only knight that's actually like still, and this, very grounded energy, of course, with the pentacles, and also this reverence here with how he's holding this pentacle so lovingly in his hands. And so he's not a knight that's going out to do battle, but he's planting seeds and he's in relationship with the land and with the earth. So there's this sense of stewardship. And of course, like with the that's good. The earth itself, like the pentacles being earth energy and the descent being literally, or I mean, not literally because it's a myth, but like the actual very, very concrete energy of descending into the earth, into the underworld. Oh my God. Yes. So this, like, the knights, of course, are associated with the energy of like crusading. And so this is a crusade into the earth. Oh my God. How fantastic is that? For the purpose of this devotion and planting these seeds and sowing the not sowing the harvest, I guess you could say that. But yeah, this is you engaging with your soul's path, the path that you intended before you came here into this physical lifetime. And like knowing that that journey was going to this descent was triggered before any of the physical and mundane life circumstances that you might have associated. I expected this answer to be like like a betrayal or maybe inner child healing or something like that, but this is not at all that energy. And of course, with the Hermit, this is you descending with this lantern, like descending into the depths of yourself, lighting the way, lighting your own internal environment. So what triggered Inanna's descent for you was this very intentional choice and movement toward illumination, and integration, of course, and even exploration of the shadow, of your shadow and your internal world. What a very cool what a very cool answer for this. Let me make sure my mic is still on. This is like, it has happened before that my mic has died in the middle of recording, and so I try to be aware of that. Okay. I am so curious, like, so this is what triggered the descent for you. And like I said, this feels very, very higher self soul level. So I'm still curious, what were the like physical circumstances for you? Like, what was it happening in your daily life. And this, oh, okay, let me finish this shuffle. The Devil and the Tower. Fuck. Yeah, so this was about the collapse of attachment, the collapse of the narrative and belief systems, the illusory narrative and belief systems that had you in these chains. Feeling like and I absolutely relate to this, how I felt, I don't know, for many years, until I made this choice and chose to drastically change things, was just that, like, this is how things are, this is how they're going, nothing's ever going to change, and like desperately trying to get out of that, but having the practical and physical considerations that are, somebody recently called it the golden handcuffs. I think it was Molly McCord, on her astrology podcast, like the feeling that the thing that you like are the thing that is causing your suffering is also like giving you the illusion of safety and comfortability, and I mean, maybe not even the illusion of comfortability, it is keeping you comfortable. So like maybe a job that you really hate, but it's like, well, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills, and like you're very attached to your lifestyle or what have you, or relationship. Yeah, man, that's incredible. So on a soul level, this journey was planned long ago, and there were these deep intentions of you coming into union and exploration of your own internal environment, and like embodying the fullness even of your humanity. And then in a practical and personal sense, as far as this particular incarnation for you, the thing that triggered the descent was the falling away of these attachments and this feeling of like being trapped and, even slavery. Oh my God. What fantastic. Okay. What divine authority did you gather around you to prepare for your journey? So that's, what Inanna does before, as she's planning to leave, she gathers what's called the Mies. It's spelled M-E. And in Sumeria, that referred to like divine ordinances, and like things that had been bestowed on her as part of her position of authority, like being a goddess. So she like got those together around her, and then as she descended, had to give them all up one by one. So as you were preparing for this descent, what were those things? What divine authority did you gather around you to prepare for your journey? Whoa. All right. Wow. Knight of Wands, King of Wands, and then on the bottom of the deck we have the World. You gathered your fire, and that makes so much sense, to light the way for you in the darkness. So with the Knight of Wands, there's this sense of like charging full steam ahead, in a very passionate and like energetic way. So I mean, the Knight of Swords, the air element, is kind of full steam ahead as well, but it's much more intellectual and mental. And the Knight of Wands is like more about your life force energy and like I said, your passion. So like this reminds me of in my own life, one of the things that, I mean, there's so many like elements and triggers and like things, layers of this, but I distinctly remember, I think I must have been pregnant. I remember where I was on the road because I was driving to work, and I remember like where I was working at the time, but I don't remember like exactly where in my timeline this moment was situated. But I do know I was pregnant, so um, it was before a significant transition for me. And I was listening to a podcast or something about Kali, about invoking Kali and her burning down again the fire, um, like burning down what no longer serves. And I just had this like rush of um, like passion and feeling that I was like, fuck yes, like that's what I want. Because like I said, I knew that something had to change, and I was feeling just so like monotonous and like I was underwater, like kind of hopeless. And so I invoked Kali. Like there was a mantra, and I did it and forgot about it. And then like I don't know, a year and a half later, again, I don't know the timing, but like everything burned down. Um and yeah, so this again feels like very very much like Kali energy. Um but yeah, it's this like this whatever moment this was for you where you, and it may not even have been conscious depending on how quickly everything shifted for you. Like everyone's descent to the underworld, of course we all have our own unique situations, and so yours might have just been like the rug got pulled out from underneath you. But this is whatever moment leading up to that where you had this rush of passion and like embodying your fire energy and then your leadership as well. I mean, the question is about divine authority, and the King of Wands is that embodied leadership and like direction and relegation of life force energy and passion. And then like the world feel is such a beautiful underlying energy for this, because it's also like this knowing that you have done and will continue to navigate these cycles. Like it's this it's the ending and the beginning, um and like all of these resources. So in comparison, in contrast with the Fool as a beginning, um which is more like lighthearted and more of that like a force that you can't put a name to, that like catalyzes the jump between archetypes. And then of course death being more focused on transformation, and the world is, in contrast to those two energies, has more fullness with it. So it's like holding, because you've completed the full cycle. um it's like all of the resources that you've gained because you have gone through, like you've walked the path, you've gone through the journey. And this is the sense that like I said, you've done it before, and this is like another lap, like another deepening of the cycle, very cyclical energy. um so this divine authority that you gathered was like the memory on some level of your being, again, like probably not conscious, I mean it could have been, that like this energy of completion. It's like having the guarantee before you go that like in the end everything is like you will be successful. It's, I guess, I also think of the energy of like um Yeshua, and like knowing his mission and knowing that he was going to, like knowing all the things he was going to face and the suffering, and still like knowing what the end result was going to be. What have you had to sacrifice on your descent? So yeah, you gathered all this strength and fire around you to light your way, and the knowing that it's already been done and you've made it out. But then you descend, and those things, regardless of how like passionate or sure or trusting you were before you began, because that's how the beginning of a journey always is. It feels good and it's exciting, and like you're fresh and new, and then you keep going, and especially in underworld journey, things are stripped away, and we get the opportunity to be in it. And the things we gathered around us before we left, like, they're still there in the deepest parts of us, but they're not easy to reach for. So what did you have to sacrifice? What have you had to sacrifice on your descent? I also like the pairing for the previous question of the knight and the king together, as like the knight being your guard and the king being, it's like you were your own defender and protector as well as your own authority. Okay. So, we have, this question was, what divine authority, oh no, sorry, that was the last question. What have you had to sacrifice on your descent? And we have the Wheel of Fortune. And then on the bottom of the deck, we have the Ace of Pentacles. Interesting. What have you had to sacrifice on your descent? So the Wheel of Fortune feels like, contextually in this question, the surety of your destiny. So I know something that I was very attached to before my dark night of the soul, and something that I've lost sight of many times and has evolved as I've grown and like journeyed, is this sense that like it's an evolution of an ego attachment to greatness. Like the feeling that, so the things that you want, like success or money or love or whatever, this card is coming through as like the attachment to those things for the status that you think, either that you think that they will bring you, or the idea that like you get those things because of some inherent deservingness within you. And let me explain that a little bit more, because I'm not saying you don't deserve them. It's just that deservingness is not a factor at all. They're just inherent. And so when you introduce deservingness, like, oh, I deserve to have this, then you're, even though you're like on the positive end of the spectrum, like insisting that you do deserve to have it, being on that like fulcrum at all is introducing in the possibility that you don't deserve to have it, rather than it just being an inherent like, no, you get love because you are love. That is like, that's the truth of who you are. And like resourcedness. And we have this little like devil here that's spinning the wheel. So you've had to sacrifice this attachment to, and this plays in like so well with the last couple things that I shared, and like the last question here about suffering being meaningful. So you had to sacrifice the idea that like basically this journey was earning you things that you wanted, because we know that that's not true. That's not, we don't have to earn the things that we want. And even I think the whole point of the journey is for that belief to fall away, to be stripped away. So yeah, maybe this sense of you, again, like kind of an egotistical sense that like you were special, and having this very having this very specific vision for, linear vision for how things were going to go for you. Like, I'm going to do this, this, and this, suffer in these ways, and then I'll get, because I've input this suffering and like correct action, I'm going to output these exact specific things that I want. So yeah, of course you had to give that up on the descent. And then the Ace of Pentacles, it feels like this is very connected to yeah, I mean, it's your human embodiment, and like basically exactly what I just said, like control over the way that that embodiment um, goes for you. Like this idea, it's, I mean, I guess put very simply, like the plan that you had for your life. Interesting. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay. So, what pain have you witnessed and held space for in the underworld? Okay. Justice, the Three of Pentacles, and then on the bottom of the deck we have Strength. Man, yeah, that's a good one. The pain that you've witnessed and held space for. I mean, justice, I feel like is so self-explanatory. But yeah, I mean, things just do not, or I should say, so often to us from our perspective, do not feel fucking fair. And like in a broad sense, yes, there is universal balance always, but on an in an egoic way and on a personal level, um, you know, we've all had to go through things that were just like of course they weren't fair. They were not fucking fair. There's nothing fair about the abuse and the trauma that you've had to go through. Um, there, I do think it can be true, that something can be in balance and still deeply, deeply unfair. Um, and I mean, even this like sense of fairness is a very human construct. Like it's very ego based, which doesn't mean negative. Like it's, um, you know, like a human need to experience or seek out fairness and justice. But I think this is that, yeah, I mean, the pain that you've witnessed and held space for is the paradoxical relationship between universal balance and individual suffering and unfairness. Um, yeah, and we have, you know, interpersonally with these Three of Pentacles, like um, maybe a sense of like recognition. Let me check my, yep, we're good. A sense of recognition and support. You know, not having I mean, this is making me think of like the family structure, you know, triangulation between ourselves and two caregivers. Um, yeah, not having that sense of fairness or justice in that initial relationship, not having the support and love and care that were needed in a very real way by you throughout your life. Um, and then with strength is we're also getting a very deeply personal and individual pain of the ways that this lack of support has also been internal. Um, so the balance of how you relate to this like more wild and natural part of yourself, like how, I mean, I say this a lot in various ways, but like the ways that external colonization has affected our internal structure and like um yeah, I mean, like the ways that we try to dominate the natural world externally, even if it's not us personally, like the structures that we live in are in some form or fashion replicated within us until we become conscious of them and work to come back into this balance of true strength, which is gentleness and compassion and acceptance. So yeah, Yeah, that's heavy. And that pain is very real. What is birthed when you stop asking your suffering to be meaningful? Okay, I'm going to try to keep these in order. This one, these two. Okay, we have the Five of Swords, the Two of Pentacles, the Star, the Ace of Wands, and the Seven of Wands. I don't know if you can see all of these because my screen mirror thing, I can't see what you're seeing. So we're just going to hope it's fine. Okay, what is births when you stop asking your suffering to be meaningful? First, we have the Five of Swords, which is this sense of like a no-win situation. Yes. Nail on the head, right? Yeah. It feels like it's suffering becomes a no-win situation. Like if you're asking your suffering to be meaningful, if you're trying to find meaning in it, like make it mean that you've earned something or you're worthy, that's it can be a protective mechanism where like at least you feel in control, because it's like, well, if this meant something, then you can like I mean, posted one of the last things I posted, like self extraction, where at your own expense you're saying like, well, at least I've gotten something from this. And when you let go of that, it just becomes like nobody's winning. It's suffering. And then we have the Two of Pentacles. So learning to juggle and balance the ups and downs of being in presence with what hurts without asking it to be redemptive. So that this can feel like as you're on this journey and you're like learning to hold these opposite forces of let me see if an example will come through that is relevant and helps me explain this. Okay, so like, on the one pentacle, I'm always taken care of, I'm always provided for. And the other pentacle is the very, very real toll it takes on our body and stress of like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. And so it's juggling these two equally valid like the paradox of these two truths. One is not more real than the other, and both are like, you're part of this journey is learning to hold space for both of them, and that can feel like crazy making, especially, I mean, I don't want to put like timeline on this, but I know that my capacity to hold paradoxes like this has expanded, and so that's my own personal experience, that it's not as overwhelming as it used to be, but I can relate to the feeling of like, I am fucking crazy, like what is going on right now? What is happening? So this is like, as your tolerance, this is the birth of your capacity for paradox and your tolerance for discomfort expanding, like moving between these two states of being. And then we have the Star. So next, there's that reconnection to your big why, like the thing that keeps you going, your dream, and like and this is dream in like a big way, like your soul's dream, something that is like you can just feel how how meaningful it is to you. And I will tell you, when you're in a state of feeling this and also denying that it's possible or that it's real, that fucking hurts like nothing else. So this is a connection to this star for you, that your own North Star, like what you're heading for and focusing on and believing um in um in like a healthy polarity. So not focusing on it in a way that like really hurts you, but using it as guidance. And then we have the Ace of Wands. So this what the star is birthing for you is this connection to your eros, to your life passion, and like the fire that is creating all of these, or it's the fuel for creation for all of the things in your life. And then finally, with the Seven of Wands, it's really interesting that this came up, um, because it's been coming up in multiple different contexts for me, and from several different sources. And this feels like this is your energy and your life force, and even, like your aura doing the heavy lifting for you. So this person um, is like on higher ground above all these other people. We can't even see the people, we can only see their wands. And this person on the higher ground has their wand raised. And sometimes there's a sense of like defensiveness to this card. But what's coming through for this is it's a sense of protection. So like your energy again is doing the work for you. Like this is um, you getting to relax and step back, um, because you are just you in your existence, in your natural state, um, are protected, and you're also not having to put effort into like your energy is naturally doing the screening for you. And that also means that you don't have to put a lot of effort into being open under the right circumstances. So like feeling like the right for the right people to find you, you have to maneuver yourself a certain way. Like, oh, if I don't seem interested, then then how will they know? Like, how will they come to me? And this could be in like romantic connections, or um, friendship connections, or soul family connections. And that's not your job anymore. You can exist in this state of um, protection and like your natural disposition, and like the things that aren't for you are being filtered out, and the things that are for you are being drawn in. Okay, so that was a really interesting like storyline here. I hope that all of that made sense. Yeah, so all of that is what's birthed when you stop asking your suffering to be meaningful. Yeah, I mean, you end up with this, you're focused on your dream, and your passion and your energy is speaking for you. And you're also yeah, I mean, you're just much more solid within yourself. Like that's an this person is centered, like they're centered within themselves. And that's part of the gift of releasing the pressure on ourselves to make meaning out of our suffering. Okay, so I did want to ask one more question. And I didn't want it to be like, I wanted to ask a question about the return to the land of the living without framing it as like, what do you get out of all of this? Because that's kind of the point of like what we're leaving behind. Okay, let's ask what what is surprising to you as you return in wholeness and integration. So as you're returning, you've had this underworld descent and you've held your pain, and you've birthed this new paradigm. So what does it look like? What do you look like on the other side of this? And like I originally said, like what is maybe something surprising about how you come out on the other side of this journey? Okay. We have the Page of Cups. So this is a really beautiful energy to end on. This is like playfulness and curiosity and imagination. So very much inner child energy. Yeah, and there's a sense of wonder here. And also a deeper connection with your imagination and like whimsy is what's coming through here. And you wouldn't you wouldn't necessarily expect that from someone that it's like, oh, I went down to hell and I died and I came back. I was resurrected and I came back. You might expect someone to be like very serious, um, or like withdrawn after that. But this is a sense of like coming back to consciousness. I mean, it is inner child integration because you have stayed with yourself through your pain and you've witnessed so much heaviness and released this pressure around your suffering, release the pressure on yourself to make meaning. And you're returning with a stronger relationship to your inner child and a sense of play and curiosity. That's really beautiful. So when I channeled these questions, I connected to the Akashic record. And so I just wanted to share this last thing that came through with all of this, which was we love you so much. You are always on the right path, the path of expansion and the path of aliveness. So you are so deeply loved and supported. And I would love for you to join our Dark Goddess Descent journey. We are going to do 3 live calls where we are meditating with and doing a guided journey with 3 different goddesses in the lineage of the rose. And that will also include an Akashic energy healing. So it'll be woven together as we're being guided through the meditation and also receiving healing energy. And you also receive 3 one-on-one calls with me, as well as 3 months of access to premium Substack content. So that includes our new moon circles. There are 3 of those, and additional energy healings and tarot readings for the astrological season. So I'm really excited about it, and I would love to see you there.